All right, continuing on, we are on Q. Van Damme is back with the quest, and I've realized out of the three that I've chosen, well, four now. I've added a fourth one to this in another letter, but this one was the better choice of the first two. Those other two were Derailed was not so good, and JCVD just didn't sit with me right. This one, I actually enjoyed it. I've come to realize I think I like 90s Van Damme better than later Van Damme. So we'll see going forward. But so the quest tells the story of Chris Dubois, an American who is eventually entered into a tournament for a prize. And I don't. This movie was written by Frank Dux and Jean-Claude Van Damme and directed by Jean-Claude Van Damme. And it's basically a bigger budget version of Bloodsport is what it seems like. But yeah, Chris Dubois. So it actually starts out in current time, I think, 1996, 95, 96, whatever. I'm guessing it's 95 because I'm guessing we're going back 60 years or 70 years in the... Wait, what? 1925 and 1995... That's 70 years. How old is Van Damme supposed to be? I'm guessing it's not 95. It has to be like... I don't know. It doesn't make any sense that Van Damme would still look that old. I don't know. But, because this movie takes place in 1925. But we have an older version of Van Damme in some old man makeup who is able to, after fighting off this gang of thugs, three of them, four of them, whatever, three of them, I think, tells the story of how he learned how to fight, I guess. And he's on the street, and he's pickpocketing with the help of some kids, and he's dressed as a clown, apparently a street clown, street performer. Eventually, he tries to escape this gang that he stole from, this gangsters that he stole from, and ends up on a ship, which is owned by pirates. And he is allowed to stay there as a slave of sorts, working for them, until eventually this pirate ship is attacked by another pirate ship, ran by Mr. Dobbs, played by Roger Moore. And I was in the other room looking at stuff when I heard his voice, and I went, that's Roger Moore. Yes, Roger Moore's in this, and he has a sidekick, Harry, played by Jack McGee, who I love Jack McGee. He's been in other things, like The McCarthys, which I want to talk about on this channel at some point, because I love that show, and it only lasted one season. And I hate it when they do that. Shows that I like, and they only last one season. But anyway... So, Dobbs trades in Van Damme Dubois to these people to fight in Muay Thai tournaments. 6 months later, and he says, well, they'll take you back to America in 2 weeks, I think it is, and it takes... And they don't do that. They train him there. And 6 months later, Dobbs and Harry return. And they meet this woman who is a reporter. Who they take to this Muay Thai boxing fighting tournament. Where they find Van Damme. Van Damme sees them there. And says, you owe me. He goes, yes, I do. And I always pay my debts. So Dubois says he wants the big gold dragon statue that you get from winning the Ganggong tournament. Ganggong, does it say? City of Tibet. The Ganggong tournament. And so they said, okay, we'll get you that statue. So their plan is to team up with the American boxing champion Maxie Devine, played by James Remar, and then steal the statue, even though they got a very good Muay Thai boxing fighting champion there with him, kickboxing champion, whatever. There, they decide they're going to steal the thing. But after getting into fisticuffs with Maxie Devine, says, is this what you're after? You went in there? And so Devine walks off. And this is the first of two things that at first I was like, oh, come on, they're not doing this. But then they do it. And they do it differently than I thought they were going to do. And I was okay. Because they get in there and they say that Dubois is Maxie Devine. And as he's being announced, the real Maxie Devine shows up. And then he says, I hand my title to him. He will fight for America. He's not an American, but okay. And they allow it. But if they say they will, he will be tested in his first fight. And if he doesn't make it, then Maxie Devine will pay the price. Well, of course, he makes it. And we get the tournament. And it's basically blood sport in the 1920s. Without all the, there's certain things taken out. Like the reporter lady isn't in it very much. And she's not even a love interest in this film. She's seen at the beginning of this and just kind of sits in the crowd for most of this. The big villain is a guy with this mostly bald, except for his little ponytail thing sticking out the back of his head. Okay, just like in Bloodsport. But, this was still pretty good. Of course, Van Damme, Dubois, ends up in the finals. But Dobbs and Harry get caught trying to steal the statue because at one point they don't think that Dubois is going to win. So they decide to steal the statue anyway. And then Dubois gets to the finals and they get in trouble and sentenced to death. Now, I read ahead in Wikipedia, because I do that. And when I saw he was going to go to the statue to fight, I'm like, what was the point of this? He's going to go through the whole tournament and win, and then say, I give it up to save them. But no, it happens here. Before the final fight goes, if I win, you will spare their lives, and I will give up the gold statue. Even with that, what's the point of continuing? The whole point of the fight, well, now you have a point, I guess. But the whole point of the fight was to win the statue. Van Damme, you wrote this. Which means you have the right to give yourself that statue, which is what your character wanted to begin with. But you don't give it to him. Why? So he can save some people who never cared about him? They left him to do the Muay Thai fighting. And then they were going to steal the statue and leave him there. I guess Dobbs does apologize to him. He says the first time he's apologized to anyone and he's meant it. So, I guess, but I don't know. But, Dubois wins, and it's not as impressive as Bloodsport. He just does this a lot until eventually he knocks him down. And he wins. And then we it goes back, it cuts back to the beginning where he's telling the story. And apparently he got all those kids off the street, which is good, and everyone ever after, I guess. And then all of a sudden it's a book, and it closes, and it's written by the journalist lady. But journalism and writing novels is different. What? Okay. Overall, this movie wasn't bad. But if I want to watch a movie with a tournament, I'm going to watch Bloodsport. But I do think this could be one of his better films. I think 90s Van Damme was better than the later installments. And, hey, out of the 3 I've reviewed so far in this thing, I'm guaranteed to rewatch this over the other 2. I also want to complain about the DVD aspect ratio. It said it's in widescreen, right? Anamorphic widescreen. It's widescreen, but it's also got the bars on the side. So it's like this little box in the middle of the screen. So I had to mess with the picture on my TV so that it just made the widescreen. So that made it a little grainy to watch. But, yeah, and the score was a little bit distracting at times. And how many times are they going to ring a damn gong during the tournament? I'm just saying. I have to say that this movie is middle of the road. At best. But if you look at what I've rated the other ones, we had JCVD as the middle of the road. But I enjoyed this one better than JCVD. But there was still middle of the road. And the Derailed was also middle of the road. So all these have been middle of the roads. Okay? But I enjoyed out of the 3 middle of the road movies, this one was better, more enjoyable. So one I go back and watch above the other 2. But like I said, we have one more coming up. You know, considering what letters we have left, you might be able to figure out which one that is. But yeah, it's not bad, but it's when I finally rank the Van Damme movies, I don't think it'll be in the top 10. I'm gonna rank all the ones that I have. Apparently, there's more that I need to get, which I'm planning on doing, I guess, but who knows. But anyway, yeah, so that's The Quest. Q. Done. What are your thoughts on The Quest? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so next we have R, and we're traveling to the world, to a movie that combines the world of Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers. The world of Steven Spielberg with the world of video games. Till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. All right.